What is the XFL?
What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I am your host, Mark Perry from XFL News Hub, and on this week's show, we got a full recap of the XFL Supplemental Draft that took place on Friday, plus XFL blocks the Detroit Lions. We'll get into that. Surprising news this week in the show. Now, how do you get in touch with the show? It's simple. You email podcast@xflnewshub.com with your MP3s, or you call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Remember, cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. And remember to leave us a review on iTunes. This week's review gives us a 5-star. That's so nice. Dallas, I wonder what team they're a fan of. Nostromo. Oh, like Tony Romo kind of deal. It says, great XFL news podcast, very insightful and fun to listen to. 5 stars. Thank you, Dallas Nostromo, for those kind reviews. Remember, you can leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll read it on the show. We really appreciate that. That's on Apple Podcast. The question of the week we will get into this week will be, will you attend an XFL minicamp in December? And if so, which team? Really curious out there what fans are interested in seeing as far as what teams they might want to go check out. And I'm wondering if anybody in Las Vegas is going to go for the LA Wildcats. I'm still confused on that one. So anyway, we're live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for our podcast on the YouTube. So if you're watching right now, welcome to the show and hang out in the chat room with everybody else that follows in there. Now, I also wanted to bring something else to your attention. See, we here at XFL News Hub, it's either go big or go home. So we have a contest. That's right, a big contest. As you know, the XFL footballs came out, and we decided we want to give away one of those XFL footballs. Yes, those $125 XFL footballs. But we're giving it away to a fan. However, there's a catch. And the catch is either leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to our channel right now. We're going to track all the people that subscribe and all the people that leave us a review on iTunes. So you got 2 chances to win this $125 football that looks super sweet. We'll announce the winner on February 4th, the February 4th episode of XFL Week in Review. Why is that significant? Because that is the last episode before we kick off the season in February. On February 8th, when your DC Defenders take on the Seattle Dragons. So, contest, simple. iTunes, leave us an iTunes review or subscribe to our channel. You do one of those 2 things or both, we don't care. Then you can win the $125 valued XFL football. Where can you do that? With your friends at XFL News Hub and the XFL Week in Review. So win a football by just subscribing or leaving us a review. It's not that hard, folks. It's not that hard. So, anyway, that's the contest from now until kickoff. So we're excited about that. We're excited that you're joining with us. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. All right, so our first story, of course, is the big news, and this really was a shocking news on Friday. So just before the XFL Supplemental Draft was going to take place, about a couple hours before, they released the following, that Josh Johnson, Taylor Heinicke, and Chase Litton were added to XFL teams. And we were all surprised by this because what we really thought was that the XFL was just going to have this draft at noon or 11. It was at noon, and that was going to be it. We did not think that there would be even more Tier 1 quarterbacks. But that's right. These guys were assigned. So in addition to signing the Tier 1 QBs taken in the regular draft that took place in October, in the supplemental draft, 3 quarterbacks headed to new teams re-signed. So the Los Angeles Wildcats get Josh Johnson, a guy that we've talked extensively about on XFL News Hub, about a guy that we thought was a definite tier 1, but then he would sign with the practice squad. He was on the practice squad with Detroit, and we were all like, why are you doing that? Like, just sign with the XFL. Well, he has played for 13 teams, been in the league a long time. He's 33 years old. So he's one of the older guys in the league, but I think a great pickup. And now the LA Wildcats have a little quarterback controversy with Josh Johnson. The other guy that they took, St. Louis Battlehawks Taylor Heinicke, another name out there. We broke the news a couple days before that he had posted something that he was going to be part of the XFL supplemental draft. Fine. But then we didn't think that he would be assigned to a team. And that came out. So with Jordan Ta'amo and Brogan Roback on the St. Louis Battlehawks squad, we have another quarterback controversy as Taylor Heinicke gets signed. And I'm curious as what some other fans have brought up too, is are these all quarterbacks going to make that kind of money, or is it just the starting guys going to make that kind of money? And then what about I'm just concerned about what all the other players think. So you have a guy on the bench making $500,000, and then a guy who is, leading the league in sacks making 50. It's kind of, but we'll see how that all shakes out. Also, the other guy, Seattle Dragons, not my Seattle Dragons, but my DC Defenders, America's team, is taking on the Seattle Dragons in game 1. Is Chase Linton going to be the quarterback? 6'5", 230, a 3-year starter at Marshall, played well enough on his way to the Chiefs as an undrafted free agent. Saw a little bit of preseason action. So he is now with a depth chart of Brandon Silvers and BJ Daniels, who some thought was a potential tier 1 guy, and Joe Callahan. So you have 4 quarterbacks, 2 tier 1s, and 2 drafted guys. Is Chase Linton better than BJ Daniels? Well, we're going to find out when the season kicks off in February. So we had the supplemental draft, as you all well know. But 66 players were taken in the supplemental draft, guys from all over the place. But we have some names here that you might have heard of, or some notable names in the XFL supplemental draft. So first, the Tampa Bay Vipers took Jawill Davis, a wide receiver, 6 foot. He signed with the New York Giants, an undrafted free agent out of Bethune-Cookman. Brings some NFL experience to the table. Played 7 games for the Giants in 2018. 4 catches, 260 yards on the special team. He went to the Green Bay Packers in 2019 and played a little bit in the Canadian Football League. Tanner McElvoy, another wide receiver from the University of Wisconsin. Played quarterback, wide receiver, and even safety. Was good at the safety position. Got some interceptions. He's another guy that's out there. Marcus Murphy, a running back, was a 7th-round pick of the New Orleans Saints in the 2015 draft and had a bunch of games in the NFL. So that's who the Tampa Bay Vipers picked. St. Louis Battlehawks picked Harold Jones Courtley, safety. Played 12 games for the Bears. Terrence Williams, for those of you Dallas fan, remember Terrence Williams immediately comes as one of the most known players in the XFL. He played 6 seasons with the Cowboys, compiled 3,377 yards and 20 touchdowns. He's 30 years old, but he might be out to prove that he's still got something left in the tank. So good for him. Guys coming in, getting some playing times. Terrence Williams, I think he might have been on my fantasy football team. Marquette King, a well-known punter. He's kind of got a stylish way of his own, kind of like a Pat McAfee type guy. He's got over 146,000 followers on Twitter, so it brings some attention to the league. 6 seasons of NFL experience. There's your punter. DC Defenders, Jay Bromley, a 3rd-round pick of the Giants, one of the most experienced players in the XFL, played 57 games of NFL experience. He'll be on the DC Defenders. Picked him up. Malik Dupree, wide receiver, adds super strong to the receiving core. He was a 7th-round pick in the NFL, bounced around a couple franchises. Donnie Erzenberg, a tight end, played with the Buccaneers. Dorian Johnson, a guard, 4th-round pick out of the for their Arizona Cardinals in 2017, but was disappointingly cut by the team after the preseason. Did not last long. Bounced around a couple practice squads. Kareem Moore, safety, 6th-round pick of the Giants. And Eli Rogers, you remember that name, wide receiver with the Steelers. He is now, and Rogers was thought to be a rising star for the Steelers with nearly 600 yards as receiving rookie season, but didn't work out there. So DC Defenders getting some guys. So you got Terrence Williams out there, Eli Rogers, recognize no names. I don't think Eli Rogers was ever on my fantasy team. LA Wildcats, Brandon Bryant, a safety. Bucky Hodges, tight end, played for Virginia Tech. Finally, another Virginia Tech guy in there. Seattle Dragons, Godwin Ewambuki, safety. 6 games in the NFL between the 49ers and Buccaneers in 2018. The New York Guardians, Matthew McCrane, a kicker. 3 teams in 2018, 6 for 12 with a longest field goal of 47 yards. You're not any Justin Tucker. You know Justin Tucker. Justin Vogel, a punter, picking up that special teams guy. Bunch of NFL experience, played with the Packers in 2017. Antonio Morrison, linebacker. The Guardians selected Morrison, perhaps the most high-profile defensive player in the league. I do remember him. Morrison started 27 games and had 209 total tackles with the Indianapolis Colts. I recognize that name. Renegades, Marwin Evans, a safety, played 32 games with the Packers over 2 seasons. Houston Roughnecks, Sergio Castillo, a kicker, played in the Canadian Football League's British Columbia Lions in 2019 and had 41 converted field goals of 45 yards. Yes, that's 41 of 45. Exciting to see what he could bring. Interesting kicker in Houston. Hunter Sharp, a wide receiver, 5 receptions and a touchdown with the Giants. He's a cousin of Kansas City. Sharp is the cousin of Kansas City Chief and 4-time NFL Pro Bowler Derek Johnson. So we've got a full list of those guys, and we have a full list of all the 66 players taken in the XFL draft. I want to thank our man Connor hooking that up. Check out his article, Connor Folk, one of our lead writers at the XFL News Hub. Check out his article and check out Matthew's article about Josh Johnson, too, on the site. But if you want to see all the guys that were drafted in a format that you can see, just head over to XFL News Hub and click on the player draft tracker. We got a link to where we have the full list. It's sortable. You can type in it, and it is a lot of information and fun if you're a super nerd into that. So we talked earlier about the Detroit Lions. Well, we talked earlier about Josh Johnson signing with the LA Wildcats. Well, just yesterday, the Detroit Lions were blocked from signing him. Well, yeah, because he's a Tier 1 guy in the XFL. So this was reported by Adam Schefter. He said the Lions had interest in signing the QB Josh Johnson, but XFL blocked them per source. Johnson signed with the XFL on Friday as part of its November supplemental draft. He, along with Taylor Heineke and Chase Litton, are a new crop of Tier 1 QBs. As a Tier 1 QB, Johnson, he was now, of course, we know that he's on the Wildcats. He's competing with Luis Perez and their offensive coordinators, Norm Chow. Now, Tier 1 players stand to make more than the average base salary of $55,000. A Tier 1 quarterback salary could range in the $500,000, making it comparable to an NFL practice squad type money. So once he was signed with the XFL, he was locked in for the entire season, which ends in April. There is no leaving the XFL once you sign, and that makes sense to keep parity. You can't have these guys being a starter, then all of a sudden just leaving. It totally makes sense. So why did they contact Johnson to begin with? He was a practice squad player, and then he was cut in September. Well, Matthew Stafford, the Lions star quarterback, was he on my I don't know if I played him this. Wasn't drafted, but had a heck of a season. Suffered fractured bones in his back. Ouch. Since Johnson had familiarity with the Lions offense, they figured they could bring him in to help current quarterback Jeff Driscoll. But now that Johnson's in the XFL, that's not happened. So Johnson was a 5th-round pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2008. Spent time with 13 different NFL franchises since entering the XFL, and he was also the #1 overall pick in the AAF draft, but he never played in the league. He wound up signing with the Redskins. So Josh Johnson's our guy, NFL. This is the first of the NFL trying to reach out for somebody, and be like, okay, XFL, we want this guy. We're just going to sign him. And the XFL is saying, no, here's an agreement, and sorry about your dang luck. Well, we had some exciting news this week. The official game balls were released, and they are pretty cool. So if you want to know a little bit about the game balls, a couple things to note. Well, first they sent out a teaser video about the whole footballs. And the thing is that each team has its own unique football. So you have the X on the tip with the team colors, and then you have the team name with the logo on the side for the game balls. And there's a game ball for every team. So I assume that when you play in DC, they're going to use the DC XFL ball. And when you play in Houston, you're going to use the Houston Roughnecks ball. Now, what makes these balls unique after their official announcements, of course, is the X on the tips, but also something called the X Pebble Grip Technology. That's right, the X Pebble Grip technology. So I ask you guys in the chat room especially, and everybody else out there in the internets, what do you think of this? They are available now. You can purchase the XFL football for just $125. That's right, $125. Now you got to understand, these balls aren't cheap. They're custom made footballs. You can go to shop.xfl.com to buy a $125 football. They look cool. I can't wait to get one myself. I'm so excited. So from the press release, they said, of course, the points of each of the footballs wrapped in an X marks in white and the team's primary color. This design allows receivers to track the ball easily. So having that white on the ball, which makes it interesting. The patent-pending X Pebble grip technology will help players control the ball with a feel that enables a tight spin on throws and allows ball carriers to enhance their ball security. So these little tiny improvements, these little tweaks could actually have a big impact on the league as far as little gameplay. Just that little tweak can make all the difference, a little bit sharper, crisper football. The XFL spent over a year developing the ball with manufacturer Team Issue out of Dallas. The first version was tested with players on the field during the XFL's Spring League games in April. Then they got feedback. Then they tested them in the XFL Summer Showcase, which I was there. I wish I should have got there and grabbed one, see if I could throw it around, check them out in the different balls. Made some final adjustments, and the final ball production began in September. So some interesting stats that it was designed by Team Issue in Dallas, Texas. We talked about the technology. You can get all the information about, if you really want to go super geek, you can head over to xflnewshub.com where we have a full article on all the details about the ball. And what's kind of cool, what's actually really cool, is that they sent out these footballs to different members of the media. So Darren Ravel got the football. It comes in this kind of like package, and it was just in time for Thanksgiving. And I was like hoping, hey, your boy, Mark Perry, XFL News Hub, been helping, we've been helping each other out here. Talking XFL, I was hoping maybe I got a little box in the mail. XFL, hello. But it comes with this cool little box, and then you open it up, and then it's a football wrapped in, it looks like a turkey with that like plastic wrap that you would have around turkey. And inside of it is a football, and then you unwrap it. On the packaging, it says Team Facts, just like you would like the nutritional facts. And like Darren Ravel's got the New York Guardians and who the head coach, team president, the QB is, social handle, their website, etc. So it's really cool. Something very unique that the XFL has done with their football. It's a great idea. And this was on every channel, ESPN, all talking about the XFL football. It was well done PR move by the XFL. We got a little more details about the XFL players contract. Well, something that wasn't supposed to be leaked got leaked. So over our friends at Pro Football Talk, and I got into the whole Pro Football Talk If you didn't see the live coverage of our XFL Supplemental draft, you know what I mean. But that was then. We won't get into that. But the XFL contract, according to Pro Football Talk, they got a copy of the contract, and the XFL contract is non-negotiable, meaning that it's a take it or leave it situation for players. Having the agreement non-negotiable, though, simplifies the process for the first couple of years of the league, because you can't have agents and all this other. These guys haven't even really played in the league, so I get it. Pro Football Talk had an issue with it, but they always have an issue with everything that the XFL does recently, which is, you've heard, I spoke about this at length in the live coverage, so you'll just have to check out that. So some takeaways from the agreement. This is from Pro Football Talk. Quote, the players get no royalties for merchandise sold by the XFL, including presumably jerseys and other items bearing their names. Now, that's from Pro Football Talk. Now, that's the thing that stuck out to me, is that the players get no royalties for merchandise sold by the XFL. But this part, including presumably jerseys and other items bearing their names, that is taking a jump, Mr. Pro Football Talk. That might not be, he might just be making that assumptions, because WWE has this kind of merchandise deal with its players, and it's another way for players to make extra side money, which is great. But I think this is a cost thing. Like, hey, my personal belief is based on the language and not falling for the trap of the XFL Pro Football Talk with the presumably. He's making an assumption. I don't know if the XFL is actually going to have players with jersey names, especially like the whole "he hate me" thing and other things. I wonder if they're just going to hold off and not even go down that path. Like, let's just sell the merchandise. Let's sell the team, because the thing is, you could spend thousands of dollars, on Josh Johnson jerseys for LA Wildcats, and he plays a season and then he's gone and he's in the NFL for the next 4. Now, granted, you're selling it, but then you might have a lot of holdover. There might be some issue with that. Maybe that's why they're just like, hey, we're not doing player merchandise. We're just doing team merchandise. So that's just my opinion. Now, other things. The document, quote, the document permits the players to leave for the NFL, but only after the end of the XFL season. Before May 31st, 2020, the player is stuck. Of course, they made that into an issue on Pro Football Talk, but of course they would want to stay there. And we've talked about this at length. Of course these guys would want to stay there, because that messes up everything. If all of a sudden guys are coming and leaving and the NFL can decide, hey, let's just ruin the DC Defenders and take out all their good players. Like, you sign a contract, you're in, play the season, then after that you can sign with teams. You're not doing much of anything at that point anyways. There's no mini camps, there's nothing going on. So teams will just be waiting for you at the end of the season. No big deal. Relax, our friends over at Pro Football Talk. So DC Defenders quarterback last week, Cardale Jones, was on the Pat McAfee show talking about the XFL. So we figured, hey, this will be a good spot to bring in kind of some of the comments that he had to say. Let's take a listen.
What is the XFL? You know more. I get a chance to call some of the games. I'm going to have unprecedented access. They say I might be in a damn huddle with you at some point for the DC Defenders. What is the league going to be like, though? What are you learning about it from the people in there? What's the game going to be like? How's it going to go? And what are your expectations for the XFL?
From my understanding, the game is going to go pretty much just like an NFL game, but we have a shorter play clock, and a few other rules is tweaked to pretty much keep the game going and have a lot of more excitement in the game, as far as the kicking rules, and you don't go for an extra point. It's all a 1 point or 2 point or 3 point conversion after a touchdown, things like that. So I'm expecting a lot of excitement, a lot of big plays, because some of the rules that out to protect the players, but it's going to encourage more big plays, definitely in the kicking game. So I'm extremely excited.
It sounds like you're excited to almost be the first class in the new XFL. It sounds like you guys are taking a lot of pride in launching a brand new league. Is that accurate?
Oh, for sure. And I've said this numerous times. We are here, and not just for the league. We are strictly talking about our organization, DC Defenders. We are here to set a blueprint, and a footprint and blueprint for years to come.
So there you have it. Cardale Jones talking about the XFL and leaving a blueprint and hopefully a championship and with the DC Defenders. These guys are all in. Everybody's excited about this league. Fans are excited. The players are excited. A couple of them are like not interested, but I get it. I get it. I get it. But it's really nice to see Pat McAfee talking with Cardale Jones, getting a little background on what's going on with these XFL players and what to expect in 2020. All right, where's my friends, 80s and 90s friends? Where are you at? Where are my friends from the 80s and 90s? So Front Office Sports is reporting an exclusive story they had that Starter will be the off-the-field apparel brand for the XFL. They say the XFL is finally analyzing a deal with the Athletic Brand. So Iconic Brand Group now owns Starter brand. You follow along. Starter was known for its starter jackets in the 80s and 90s. There was a huge success. Everybody wanted a starter's jacket. But the brand fell on hard times, as sometimes these trendy things go, and was sold to Nike in the late 90s. Now, the Iconic Group bought the Starter brand from Nike in 2007 and have been trying to get back into the pro sports game. They previously fitted the AF, but we all know what happened there. Now, the article from Front Office Sports goes on to say, quote, the XFL, meanwhile, is also working on a separate deal for an on-field uniform supplier, said sources. So hopefully the XFL can make we'll learn more about these. I was hoping that they would have something out before Black Friday, but we're running out of time here. Having uniforms and such in the store, maybe having some fun deals for your Christmas gift buying pleasure when it comes to the XFL and getting some jerseys and uniforms out there. I mean, we are next week, friends. Next week show, we're going to be talking about mini camps starting. Friends, think about that for a moment. Mini camps are starting next week. This long journey, this is the 40th episode of the XFL Week in Review podcast. I missed one or two. I was in Hawaii for one. I was on vacation for another. I think I was sick and I had no voice for one. But the 40th episode, we've been talking about this stuff for a long time. And next week, we are going to get mini camp stuff. So we'll have all that information for next week. So Starter, we haven't heard anything yet, but Starter will be the official off the field brand. So that's the stuff that you and I guys will go buy. And then somebody else like Under Armour, Champion, who knows, Nike will be the on field. And they'll be the guys that make the uniforms. And so that stuff is coming real soon. So stay tuned for all that fun stuff. So we're going to hit a commercial break and your social media fun stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends. Stay tuned.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today.
All right, we are back getting into our social media stuff. So first things first, remember our contest. Leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to our channel and you'll be entered into win an XFL football of your choice, a value at $125. That's right. Winner will be announced on February 4th, the February 4th episode of XFL Week in Review. So leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to our channel. That's all you need to do, and you'll be entered to win a $125 XFL football. They look so sweet. I can't wait to get my hands on one. All right, so now we're going to get into your social media stuff. Oh, and by the way, our question of the week is, will you attend an XFL minicamp in December? If so, which team? We'll get into that question. Next week's question of the week, and this is a good one. We have a great article from Max coming out this week, but where should the XFL championship game be played? He does a great job in breaking all this down. Look for that article tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday on XFL News Hub. It's a great read, so you're going to want to check that out. But so next week's question is, where should the XFL championship game be played? He's got a great theory. We'll check that out, and we'll talk about that next week. But for this week, the question of the week, will you attend an XFL minicamp in December? If so, for which team? We'll get into that and more of your social media stuff. Do not worry about it. Do not fret, my friends. But first, let's get into some social media stuff. First up, let's hit the Twitters, the Twitter worlds. Lebo says, I think I'm going to visit XFL Dragons camp since they have so many commanders on their squad. Heck, Mike Riley told me to stop by last year in San Antonio. Checking out that place. Richard Humphrey says, okay, great. We're talking about players in the XFL Supplemental draft. He says, what about the Division II players? XFL really don't need any more former AAF NFL players. Get guys from small schools because they are going to be more hungry to play the game they love and build their brand of football. I agree. We need to get more of these Division II guys, Division III guys. Give them a shot. Why not? But there was a response because 2020 hindsight, another legend of the Twitterverse, Richard Humphrey, 2020 hindsight, some of the legends of the XFL Twitterverse, says there are Division II players on all 8 of the XFL team rosters. Luis Perez, Kari Lee, Edmund Robinson, Willie Mays, Deshaun Phillips, Cardale Lyons, Reese Horn, Freddie Martino, Lawrence Pittman, Brian Falkerts, Dion Hulleman, Jalen Tolliver, John Maxey, and Jaboin Jabuhu, etc. So there are there are also D2 players in the supplemental draft. Foster Razone. That was from Mickey J. Wynn, another legend of the XFL Twitterverse. So there are Division II guys. Wonder if there's any Division III guys. But here's my thing. We don't know. There's a lot of guys. I want to talk to guys that make a roster, not guys that, I mean, it's great that they have an opportunity, and I'm excited that they have an opportunity, and they should have an opportunity. But I want to see the guys who make the team, and I can't wait next week, essentially, to be at an XFL training camp, mini camp. It just like really just kind of dawned on me. This is not like 2 weeks away or next year or 6 months from now. This is next week. This is next week. Wow. By the way, my wife's name is Dawn, so that's cool. XFL Extra Point Podcast says, with the announcement of these additional QB signings, I'm assuming that every team will hold 2 Tier 1 QBs on that higher pay scale. This allows for competition so that the league can achieve the quality of the play, close quote, that we've heard so much about. I don't know. What do you guys, chat room, think? I mean, does this mean that LA is out? So Luis Perez and Josh Johnson, you're tapped out at 2 Tier 1 quarterbacks. The other team's waiting? What happens to their salary cap? Like, what if DC Defenders don't take another Tier 1 quarterback? What happens then? Do they get extra money? How does that work? We'll have to ask questions. We're trying to get some interviews, and we'll find out the answer to that and other questions. But it brings up some interesting points. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd, and I'm all interested in the structure of stuff. I'm like, how does all this work? How does all this work? I'm just really curious. All right. So let's switch gears up. So that was our friends over at the Twitter sphere. Let's check out our friends on the Facebooks. Talking about the supplemental draft and reaction to the training camp announcement last week's show. Zach says, I guess I'm not really, she says, yes, definitely Battlehawks. I guess that's his team, Zach said. P.S. You were right about the whole USFL Donald Trump thing. No disrespect to him, but everything he sticks his nose in somehow ends up ruined. And even the deals he's made for his own businesses, even though they make money, I question the legitimacy of the deals and fairness for all parties involved. From what I've seen and heard over time, any deals he makes only benefits him. Royally ends up screwing with other people involved. Hey man, I'm not playing politics. This is XFL News Hub. I assume if he shows up at the DC Defenders game, he's probably going to get booed. I'm just saying, if you were booed at the Nats game, the stadium is just up the street, even though you're friends with Vince. But this Donald Trump USFL thing, this might be something that we explore on the site. I've thought about exploring that. But thanks, Zach, for the message on the Facebook. On the player contract details leak that we talked about, M. Collins says, do the players get paid weekly during training camp as well? Yes, the answer is yes. The players will get paid every week. Starting next week, they're going to start getting paid for training camp. It's like $1,000-something a week. Then we get into the mini camps they get paid. They'll have lodging, food, that kind of stuff. Then we'll get into, they'll have health insurance. Then we get into the January. They'll get paid for that stuff, and then the season kicks in, and then they'll get played and getting bonuses and all sorts of fun stuff. About the Detroit Lions getting blocked, denied by the XFL. David says this will certainly help the league cooperation. I'm sure Josh Johnson is thrilled. What was he going to do? A couple weeks there? Like, he's part of something big. I would love to get Josh Johnson on this podcast to talk about how he got from the Detroit Lions practice squad to signing with the XFL. I'm really curious. Dallas Nostromo gave us that great review. This will probably actually help Josh Johnson's career, as he'll get a lot more playing time in the XFL than he would have in the NFL. Then NFL scouts will have more film on him. The problem is he's 33. However, being 33 in the NFL seems kind of young when you got Tom Brady and some of these other people as well. Alphonse says, actually, I think he is a backup. LA already signed a six-figure star quarterback, so he's still threatened that starting position, though, if the other guy sucks. Jason says, wow, Jeff, well, he's under contract with the XFL until the end of the season. If he didn't want to be tied down, he shouldn't have signed that contract. And Dennis says, y'all better support the XFL. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will all support the XFL. Jordan says, we have to make sure that the XFL balls aren't deflated. Now, it's a funny story because I was talking to my daughter, one of my daughters, and she is in high school. Not a super sports nerd like me. And she brought up, I said that, talking about the XFL footballs, and I can't wait to get one, and how cool they were. And she's like, well, wasn't there something like in the NFL somewhere where like they were messing with the footballs and doing something? I'm like, yes. The New England Patriots were accused of cheating. And Jordan brought it up on XFL News Hub as well. We'll have to ask Oliver Luck if the XFL footballs are somehow deflated proof. You don't want to cheat like the Patriots, who got destroyed by your Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, MVP. Sign it up. Done. Just fill out that form, and you're good. On to the starter jackets. If you check out our picture, went back into the vault and got some pictures of some old school 80s starter jackets, because that's when I remember all that stuff. Dallas says, can't wait to see the merchandise Starter comes out with for the XFL teams. Hopefully it is time for Christmas. Charlotte says, can't wait to see the uniforms. Yes, everybody is excited about the uniforms. Do you think they're going to bring back a starter's jacket? Like old school 80s XFL starter's jacket. Do it. Just do it. I know you guys are listening. You got to do it. And send those suckers to some PR people or your friend, Mark Perry from XFL News Hub. He'll take one. Large. On to our question. Will you attend an XFL minicamp in December? If so, for which team? Bennis, top commentator, says, I would really love to attend Houston Roughnecks or St. Louis Battlehawks minicamps, or maybe it would be unique to see Tampa Bay Vipers or DC Defender minicamps. Now, I'm not sure how all this is going to go when it comes to the minicamps. Part of me was the LA Wildcats going in Las Vegas a sign of what's to come with some of these other mini camps? So does that mean, like, now hopefully DC Defenders are in Northern Virginia at the facility that they had their camp in, or their summer showcase, because that was awesome. That's a awesome facility. That's my vote all the way. But do they maybe go to Pennsylvania, to a college in Pennsylvania? Does New York go to, like, Connecticut and practice? Is this the angle that they're trying to go for? But you're trying to build a fan base locally, so why wouldn't you? I don't know. It's an interesting concept, but we haven't heard anything yet when it comes to the XFL training camp situations. And like we said earlier in the show, we're only less than a week away from training camp. So where are we having it? Hopefully in the next day or two, we'll find out. But a lot of people's attention is going to be away from football and other stuff with the whole Thanksgiving season. So I don't know what the deal is going to be. All right, on to some other social media stuff. On to the comments on our YouTube channel, talking about our podcast from last week. MAGA Cop says, 5 things that will make the XFL the best pro football league. Number 1, no instant replays. Don't know how I feel about that. 2, no flags for hitting defensive players. We are tired of regular hits being flagged. It's football. Listen, I disagree with that one. It annoys me to no end that if you're a defensive player and a guy is completely exposed and his hands are out and you drill him and you jump around like you're some badass, the guy was defenseless. He was defenseless. Why are you jumping around like you're some badass? That's like pushing an old lady across the street. I don't get it. Also, helmets that prevent concussions, 100% helmets hits will be legal. Okay. Get rid of rules that favor QBs. 5, penalize teams and charge a timeout for faking injuries just to stop the clock. I hate Chip Kelly, but when he was the Eagles coach, I saw how other teams were so gassed that they were faking injuries to stop the ball. They should have been charged timeouts or given 50-yard penalties. Also, that player shouldn't be allowed to return for 15 game minutes. MAGA Cop. Hardcore. He's hardcore, brother. Hardcore. Blue Diamond. The Alliance of American Football was great. I love the talent. The old faces like Steve Spurrier fans were just getting into the teams and getting to know the players. Then they ripped out hearts right out of our chest. I won't put my heart on the line again. I quit watching the NFL because of the politics and blunt corruption and scripted outcomes. I don't know about that. At this point, I'm done with football. But what about the XFL? Scripted outcomes, I don't know about that. Let's see. Leon says 19 XFL draft picks have been signed to NFL teams. We have that. Yeah, that number keeps fluctuating. Fat Kid 73. Not very high self-esteem type of handle there. Fat Kid 23. Fat Kid 73. When will the unis be revealed? I thought it was going to be by now. It's got to be in the next week before training camp starts. Richard Browning, same thing. When will the uniforms get revealed? I think it's soon. It's got to be soon. Clarence Jones, I'm ready for the XFL as long as they don't allow those anti-American terrorist squatters to disrespect our country and like the NFL does. I haven't watched the NFL in years. I don't support a product that allows terrorist activities. Clarence Jones, you're a little bit much with that one, but okay. There is no terrorist activities in the XFL. Maybe too much Fox News for you, perhaps. Super K Cats. Oh boy. They got a big list. We'll get into that. This is from our YouTube channel about our post or our podcast last week. This is a game of tackle football. It is time to live up for the Accident Extreme Football League. Career-ending injuries and damaging frames be damned. You know you signed up for. Deal with it. Oh my goodness. That's not nice. All right. He's got 20 rules of them all. And I have a feeling these will be interesting. Okay, number 1, kill the pass interference, which also means receivers can assault defensive players trying to pass interference. How are they even going to catch the ball if there's pass interference isn't being called? Okay, let's keep going with this. You can attack guys when they are down after the play is over, but you can only get a couple of shots in. After that, it will result in a bashing penalty. Okay. That's interesting. I don't know about that one. Next. Number 3, if you want to take off your helmet for some extra firepower, go for it. But remember, you can't put it back on until the play is over. Okay? Number 4, return of scrambling for the football instead of the coin toss. All right. Number 5, if you get into a fight, you'll be benched for 2 minutes. But if you lose the fight, you get 5 minutes. Also, your team will be down a player during the bench. Do you think he's serious? Chat room, do you think he's serious? Should I keep going? All right, I'll keep going. Where was I? Number 6, ref ball. But you must bribe the refs in order to get them to call BS penalties, and you can only do it once per half, okay? Number 7, wrestling moves can be used to take out players. Okay. Number 8, play clock is only 20 seconds. A failure to comply will result in a 30-yard penalty. That's a little extreme. 9, a failed coach's challenge will result in a loss of a down, but you can challenge an unlimited number of times. That's going to take forever. Why would you want to do that? Number 10, deflated balls are allowed, but you must inform the refs first. Also, you can only do it for one play before it's replaced with a full ball, and you only get 3 deflated balls per game. Okay, that might help the your new teams in New England, perhaps. Number 11, you can steal signs, but again, you can only do it for 3 plays per game. You get caught after that, and 11 star players get ejected and suspended for 2 games. Okay? All right, we'll keep going. Number 12, I have to put this on the website. Things the XFL should not do for the rules the XFL should not have starting in the 2020 season. But this is good stuff. All right, let's continue. Giving me a chuckle. Number 12, audibles where you can take out a ref is legal, but there will be a ref bashing penalty in return. Number 13, audibles where you take out the QB is fair game as well, if you don't mind giving up a score, that is. 14, if fans start throwing garbage on the field, then you can go up there and teach them a lesson, let alone making sure they never attend another game again. Okay? So we have the Latrell Spree. Was it Latrell? No. Who was it? It wasn't Spreewell. Was it Spreewell that went in the stands? Chat room. Help me out here. Was it Latrell Sprewell The one that couldn't do that or run our test or something? Okay, number 15. Speaking of trash, the refs will scatter the field with stuff to increase the difficulty in the second half. That's a rule. Okay, just throw some trash on the field to make it more interesting. I don't know how the insurance policy is on that. 16. When the ambulance appears on the field, get out of the way. The ambulance can and will run over anybody in their path, and they will not tend to you if you are stupid enough to get run over. I'm not sure ESPN would be on this board with this stuff. Okay, number 17. Steroids are legal. Have at it. Okay. 18. Overtime games will have no field goals and punts. That's an interesting rule. Out of all these other interesting rules, that's one. Number 19. First to score a safety or touchdown in overtime wins. Okay, that's simple enough. 20, and most important of all, rule of them all, no fair catches. If Vince implements these rules, then the XFL has a chance. This is from Super UK Cats. Whew. We are going to have to use that. That was some good stuff. And did I get it right? Chat room, not sure about that. Studio Rosto Cat, Wildcats should relocate to the Mr. Win city like Des Moines. They don't get a lot of attention outside of college. That will not happen in a million years. SB, bunch of numbers, YT, move LA's team to San Diego or Portland. That was my only thought when it came to the team, LA team being in Las Vegas. Like, what's going on with that? But we'll see how that goes. Rodney P. says John Johnson was battling for the number 2 spot position in Detroit, which would have put him one injury away from being the starting NFL. And we have had seen he was correct on his outlook because Matt Stafford got injured. Jeff Driscoll is now starting for the Lions and fresh off a 3-interception performance and a loss. Now Detroit tried to bring him back. Good point. But the XFL blocked the Lions from citing Johnson. Good luck, Josh Johnson, because Detroit never should have cut him. Good point, Rodney. Good point, Rodney. Let's get to our our Instagram about our question. Will you attend an XFL minicamp in December? If so, for which team and where? We got St. Louis. Try to watch, or try out OG Score _ Roughneck Zone says yes, Houston. XFL Zone giving up for the Guardians. The New York Guardians, throw me down, put me in for your DC. America's team, your DC Defenders. Finally, we'll get to our emailers. Our emailer. We got 2 emails, I think. First up, let's see here. Oh, we got 1 mail. Our man, Nicholas Braxton, checking in. The Tier 1 emailer. He is automatically, I'll tell you what, for those who have participated in the XFL Week in Review that have already subscribed or already left us a review on iTunes, you can also enter by sending us an email, podcast at XFL News Hub, to contribute something to the show. So if you send us an email, you'll get entered in as well. We should add that too. He says, I know a lot of people will look at the 3 Tier 1 quarterbacks as a shocker, but not me. Look at the roster the XFL is assembling for 2020. All the rosters have good quarterback rooms, which is key. Also, I believe that Chase Littleton will beat out Silvers. I think Tamino will beat out Henneke. I think it's a toss-up between Johnson and Perez. I like the fact that the XFL 2020 is picking up good players. By having mini camp and training camp before the season starts will help the players even more. Totally agree with that one as well. And my friends, that's it for this week's show. Anything else on the how's my chat room doing? And it was Ron Artest, Richard checking in. Pastor Jack says, XFL Hub, please turn up your volume. Barely can hear you. My volume is good. I can see it right here. Hello, could you hear me? Like I'm bottoming out there. Let's see. Joe Vitz says the balls are great, very iconic, just like XFL 1.0. Logo a bit large, but still great design. Love them. Me too. Jay Saunders says, y'all hit that like button. That's right. Hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate that. Richard says, can't wait to see the uniforms. I really like the XFL football. Me too. That's random. Love the XFL. And Jay Vort says, our test, I believe, 15 years ago. Wow. Yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, I remember that. All right, so remember, if you want to be part of the contest, you go to iTunes, you leave us a review, or you subscribe to be entered to win an XFL football of your choice, a value of $125, when it'll be announced on the February 4th episode of XFL Weekend Review. Now, you want to be part of the show, you can email podcast@XFL News Hub or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Do those one of two things. You can also be entered in as well. We'll add that to our rules later. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, XFL News Hub. Plus, you heard our commercials, saw it, our Android app and iPhone app as well. Get those on Google Play and iTunes. Those are creeping up big time too. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show because we appreciate it so much. And you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and everywhere there are podcasts. For show notes, go over to xflnewshub.com/XFL-podcast to listen to this show and all that other good stuff. That's it for me, folks. Friends, have a great Thanksgiving for those in the U.S. Chat room, have a good Thanksgiving, too. We got next week's show I'm so excited about. Remember our question of the week, which city should have the XFL championship game be played in? That is a great question. We'll have a great article coming out this week about that. Plus, we'll keep you in the loop when it comes to the jerseys and uniforms and merchandise and everything else coming XFL. We're super excited. Have a great Thanksgiving, guys. Enjoy your time. Have safe travels. That's it for me, folks. And I will see you all later. Mahalo. Peace. God bless. See you all later. I messed up my ending thing. I messed it up. See you later. Peace.